Hey guys, welcome back. This is part 2 of a 2-part series on how to set up an iPhone for your kids. In the first part, we went through activating the phone, creating an iCloud account, and linking your child's email address to that account. In the second part, we're going to go through some configurations on the phone to make sure that our kids have limited permissions in what they can do, and to make sure that we're able to manage the phone as parents when we need to. So let's get started with setting up Touch ID. We're setting up Touch ID on this phone because it's a little bit older phone. The process we go through is the same for Face ID, and I'm going to show that as well as we go through this. So let's go into Settings on the phone. Let's scroll down to Touch ID and Passcode. Enter your passcode. In here we're going to add a fingerprint. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add 2 fingerprints. We're going to add our own so that we can unlock our child's phone, and we're going to add our child's fingerprint so that they can unlock their phone. So here we go. Let's add fingerprint number 1. We will add our own. After you've added the fingerprint, tap on the entry and rename it so you know whose is whose. Okay, after you've added your own fingerprint, whenever you get a chance, go ahead and have your child add their fingerprint. Okay, tap on the second entry and give it your child's name. And that's it. Now that we've enabled Touch ID, you or your child can use that to unlock the phone and, more importantly, to request apps in the App Store, and we'll show you how that works in a little bit. Now, I mentioned how the steps for setting up Face ID are similar to setting up Touch ID. I have a newer phone here. I'll go ahead and show you that just so you can see how that's done as well. Same thing, go to Settings, scroll down to Face ID and Passcode. And here you're going to go through the same process, except you're doing Face ID instead of Touch ID. So set up Face ID for your face first. Follow the steps here to scan your face. After you've scanned your face, touch the option to set up an alternate appearance and go through the same steps with your child. Now, they don't give you a way to label each Face ID entry. That's okay. You know that you've scanned your face and your child's face. You can go ahead and test it out. After you've done this, make sure that they both work, and once you've verified that, then you are good to go. Next, we're going to set up Share Location. On your child's phone, go to Settings. Rather than scroll through the menu, sometimes I like to just type what I'm looking for. So at the top here, I'll type Share. And there it is, Share My Location. At the bottom here, you'll see all of your family members that have been joined to your Apple Family account. What you're looking for here is your Apple ID, because you want to share this phone's location with your account. My account is here at the bottom, so I'm going to touch on that and then tap Share My Location. And when we do this, you'll receive a notification on your phone that your child has started sharing their location with you. Over on your phone, you can tap on that notification, and in that menu, you'll see the child that you just added. And that's it. Location sharing is kind of a nice peace of mind feature that some parents like. It also has some little features like sending you alerts whenever your child leaves a certain location, like your house, for instance. Next, we're going to set up Ask to Buy. This is one of the more useful features for managing what your children are installing on their phones. After we set this up, your children will be able to request any app that they want to install on their phone, but before they can install it, you'll receive a notification and you'll have to approve the app. I've probably gotten the most mileage out of this feature over the years with my own kids. It's an important one to have, so let's set it up. You're going to do this on your cell phone. So on your phone, go to Settings, and I apologize ahead of time. I'm going to be doing a lot of redacting in this segment, just so my personal information is not flying all over the place on every screen. Once you're in Settings, click on your name up at the top, tap Family Sharing, scroll down and tap Ask to Buy, tap on your child's name, and tap the button to turn it on. Let's take a look real quick and see how this works. Here I have my phone and my child's phone. On my child's phone, I'm going to go to the App Store. And sure, Among Us, that's a popular game. I'm going to pretend to be my child here, and I'm going to tap on the Get button. I'm going to try to install. Since this is the first time that we've used the App Store on our child's phone, you'll be required to enter the Apple ID password that you set up for your child's account. Enter that here. And now your child will receive a notification that they need to ask permission first. It won't take them long to figure out how to tap that Ask button, so I'm going to tap that. Back on your phone, you see that you've received a notification from your child. When you tap on the notification, you'll have the option to approve or decline. So this is a really useful feature that, like I said, you'll probably use more than any other feature. This gives you a chance to kind of scroll through the app history. You can look at the ratings, you can look at the age, you can see screenshots. If you don't like what you see, you can hit decline. I've done that many times over my years. I've also approved more apps than I can count. So if you're okay with installing this for your child, you can tap approve. If you tap approve, they'll receive a notification on their phone that the app has been approved, and it will install. If you say decline, they'll receive a notification that you declined, and then you get to deal with the begging and the tears and all that good stuff. Okay, the last thing on our list to do is configure screen time. Now this is the functionality on the phone that's going to give you the most control over what your kids can do. Things like how long can they play certain apps, what times can they be on the phone, what built-in applications can they use on the phone, what changes to the phone can they make, all kinds of options to really give you full control over your child's phone. So let's get to it. On your phone, go to Settings, click on your name up top, tap on Family Sharing, scroll down until you see Screen Time, tap on that, tap on your child's name, and tap the option to turn on screen time. Here's just a quick summary of all the different things you get when you turn on screen time. Weekly reports, downtime, content restrictions, all kinds of good stuff, and we'll cover all this. We'll just say not now to setting up downtime. Not now, we're just going to choose not now for all of these, and we'll go through each one of them one at a time. Okay, it wants you to create a screen time passcode. So this is different than the PIN that you use to log into the phone. This is a code that allows you to manage your parental controls, your screen time controls. If your child doesn't know the code to log into the phone and they just use the biometrics, the Touch ID or the Face ID, then you're free to use the same code here that you use to unlock the phone. If your child does know the code to unlock the phone, then you want to make this screen time code different. So I'll go ahead and choose a code. Okay, you probably heard my, my kid's phone beep there. They just received a notification that screen time has been enabled. So here it is, all the different screen time options, and we're going to go through each one of these one at a time. Let's start with downtime. So enter the screen time passcode that you just created. So what is downtime? Downtime is when you shut off the phone, basically. You only allow certain apps to be used, and you only allow your child to call or text certain people. So here we can turn on downtime on demand probably more useful and what I've used the most is the scheduled downtime. So here you can set a downtime schedule. So you can say every day from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., my child's phone will go into downtime mode. So this is kind of nice. You have a bedtime for your child. You want them to stop using the phone at a certain time of day each night. You can set that here. So if you'd like to set that, go ahead and turn on the scheduled downtime. Decide if you want every day or if you want only certain days. Like, for example, they get more time on the weekends. Once you've chosen all the options that you want here, you can go back. You can see downtime is off right now, and it will turn on based on a schedule. Okay, next up is app limits. I personally have never used this functionality very much myself. Here you can set time limits for specific apps. So this is useful if, for example, your child is playing one particular app way more than you like. You can set an hour time limit on that app and still let them do other things on the phone for the rest of the day. I'll just pick an app here as an example. Let's do music. Next. You can decide how much time you want your child to get on this app. So for example, 1 hour every day. We can say add. And now for that one particular app, they'll only be able to use it for 1 hour each day. Next up is communication limits. So here you have all kinds of options for controlling who your child can call, who they can text, and when they can call and text. So the default is they can call and text everyone during downtime and during screen time. One thing you'll probably want to do is limit who they can call and text during downtime. So let's choose who our child can call and text during downtime. Tap on specific contacts. Here it gives you the option to choose people from your contacts, or you can add new contacts directly to your child's phone. For this demonstration, I'll choose one person from my contacts and I'll add a new contact just so you can see both options. So I'm going to choose from my contacts, and by default you're already selected on there, and that's who I'm going to choose to add. I'm going to bring up my child's phone alongside my phone here in the demo just so you can see what happens on your child's phone as you're creating downtime contacts for them. So here on my child's phone, I'll go to their contacts. No contacts in there. Back over on my phone, I'm going to add myself as a downtime contact. Next, I'm going to add a contact. Add a new contact. We'll put mom in there. And say done. If we pop over to our child's phone, you can see now that they have two new contacts. They have me and they have mom. If your child tries to edit one of these contacts, like mom for example, they're going to be required to enter the screen time passcode, which hopefully they don't know. And this gives you a little more control over your child's ability to create and edit contacts in their phone. So you don't have to worry about them accidentally deleting you or changing your phone number by mistake. And if you ever update your contact information on your phone, those changes propagate to the synced contact on your child's phone. Next, you have the option to manage your child's contacts. If you turn that on, your child's going to receive a notification on their phone that you're trying to manage their contacts. Now, I'm not sure why they kind of leave it up to your child to approve or deny this request, quote unquote, but that's how it works. So over on your child's phone, you can see here there's a request to manage your contacts. If you click on that request, you've got the option to approve or don't approve. So my advice to you is to have your child's phone with you before you send the request to manage their contacts so that you can approve that request yourself. After you approve it, you'll receive a notification on your phone that the request has been approved, And now you're able to manage the contacts on your child's phone. If you recall back when we were setting up specific contacts for Downtime, as we add them here, it puts those contacts on your child's phone and they can't edit or remove them. What this Manage Contacts option does is it takes that to the next level where you can add and remove any contacts to your child's phone, not just for use during downtime. So if we go to the contacts, right now we see just the 2 contacts that we added when we were setting up Downtime contacts. So on your phone, you have the ability to add a new contact. Same as before, choose from my contacts or add a new contact. So we'll add a new contact here. We'll add Auntie Nicole. And say done. Back over on your child's phone, that new contact will appear there automatically. And there it is. This works in reverse as well. So over on your child's phone, if they add a new contact, my weird friend, back over on your phone, you'll see that, hey, they've added some weird friend to their contact list. You can pop in there and you can see the details of this new contact that they've created. So this is a really nice way to keep tabs on new contacts that your child's adding to their phone. Okay, the last option here is the Allow Contact Editing option. So the default for this is on, and what that means is your child has the ability to create and edit contacts. Now that excludes downtime contacts. So back over on your child's phone, if I go to Mom was added as a downtime contact. If I try to edit that contact, it won't let me. But Auntie Nicole was not added as a downtime contact. If I go to Auntie Nicole and edit, I do have the ability to edit Auntie Nicole. I can even delete her. Now I've deleted her. Back on my phone, if I look at the contacts and I refresh, Auntie Nicole is gone. Maybe I don't want my child to be able to add and delete contacts. And that's where this Allow Contact Editing button comes in. So if we turn Allow Contact Editing off, back over on your child's phone, we go into Contacts. We try to add a new contact, and it won't let us. It asks for the screen time passcode. Even the weird friend that your child added before you disabled contact editing, they no longer have the ability to edit that contact or delete that contact. So by turning off Allow Contact Editing, this basically gives you complete control over your child's ability to add, remove, or edit contacts on their phone. And that covers communication limits. Next up is communication safety. There's not much to it, just a button to toggle it on and off. And basically, it's supposed to check text messages and iMessages that your child receives and screen them for inappropriate content. All right, next we have Always Allowed. So here we can choose the apps that are always allowed. Basically, that means during screen time or during downtime, these apps will always be allowed for your child to use. And so you can see here, the default is phone, messages, FaceTime, and maps. So you're free to remove some of these, or you can add some additional apps down below here in the list if there are certain apps that you want your child to always be able to use, whether it's screen time or downtime. So for example, I don't see why we need maps here, so I'll remove that. Probably don't need to be FaceTiming people during downtime, so I will remove that. But I do want my child to always be able to call and text certain people no matter what, whether it's downtime, screen time. So we'll leave phone and messages on. And you can specify who those people are here at the top where it lists specific contacts. So if you tap on that, specific contacts is chosen. So it's basically mirroring the downtime context that we had specified earlier in the communication settings. So if we go back and look at the communication limits, it's grabbing that information from here. And that's it, pretty straightforward. So we will come back to the last menu option here, content and privacy restrictions. Everything is disabled here until you turn on content and privacy restrictions. So we'll turn that on. And now there's a whole menu of options here to go through where you can set age restrictions, turn certain apps on and off, set your purchasing preferences. So we'll just go through each one of these one by one, and I'll explain what each of them do. So starting with iTunes and App Store purchases. Do we want our child to be allowed to install apps? Do we want them to be allowed to delete apps? Do we want them to be allowed to make in-app purchases? Now, these are all up to you. I tend to leave these all set to allow. That lets your child kind of manage what apps they want to install, what apps they want to delete. They don't always have to come to you to ask for help doing that. Now, you still have control over which apps they can install because earlier we enabled the Ask to Buy feature. So even though here installing apps is set to allow, they're still going to need to get permission from you because we turned on the Ask to Buy feature earlier. Here, the require password option, I like to set that to don't require. And that just means they don't have to repeatedly enter a password whenever they're making app purchases. Okay, next up is the allowed apps. Now here is where you really get to lock down the phone and turn off certain apps that you know your child just will not need. And right off the bat, the first two listed here are probably the two most important to turn off, Mail and Safari web browser. Now for really young kids, there's no reason for them to have a web browser installed on their phone. If you truly want to have complete control over this device and what they can see and do on the phone, you just want to limit them to be able to install and use apps. Everything they do on this phone, they should be able to do using apps. And same goes for Mail. There's no reason that your kids need to be checking email, so I like to turn that off. Notice how as soon as we toggle these options over on your child's phone, those apps are immediately removed. And the rest of these are kind of up to you. So scroll through the list, decide what you want to turn on or off. Wallet, they probably don't need. CarPlay, iTunes Store, Bookstore, podcasts, probably things your child won't be using. News, health, fitness. We can probably turn all those things off. Okay, next up is content restrictions. Another really important feature here is where you can set age limits on the apps that they install. You can put content filters on internet browsing and on Siri. So let's just take a look at these one by one real quick. Starting with the first, music. We want it to be set to clean. Music videos. I'm not even sure what this is for, but my kid doesn't need to be watching music videos. Same with music profiles. Movies. If you have a young child, you probably want it set to G or PG. TV shows, same thing. Books, we want clean. Apps, depending on your child's age limit, you can set that here. That will filter out any apps in the App Store that are for children older than what you've chosen here. App clips, these are free miniature versions of an app. Probably not something you want to deal with, so I just turn it off. Web content, this is not going to be too important to us if we've disabled Safari, but if you have decided to enable Safari, here is where you can restrict which websites they can browse to. So you can just use a filter to limit adult websites. So this is sort of a blacklisting feature. Most websites are allowed, with certain adult websites being blocked. Here is more restrictive, allowed websites only. This is sort of a whitelisting feature. So all websites are blocked by default, and only the websites you list here on the bottom are allowed. Scrolling down to the Siri settings, web search, turn that off. We don't want our children to be searching the web. Explicit language, we don't want that on. The Game Center settings, I don't usually mess with these too much, but feel free to scroll through each one of them and set these the way that you feel comfortable. And that's content restrictions. Next up is privacy, share my location. This allows you to turn location sharing on and off for your child's phone. Passcode changes. Do you want your child to be able to change the passcode to log into the phone? That's up to you. I tend to turn this off. Account changes. Do you want your child to be able to add and remove new accounts in the passwords and accounts setting on the phone? This is for things like email accounts. Most of the time I turn this off. Cellular data changes. Probably don't want our kids messing with that. Driving focus, not really applicable for our kids, but we're on a roll here, so I might as well turn that off. TV provider, not sure what that is, but we'll just stay consistent and turn it off. Background app activities. Do you want to allow apps to do things in the background when your child is not using them? Totally up to you. Probably won't hurt anything to turn it off. And that's it for content and privacy restrictions. The last item here is include website data. If you leave this on, the phone will send statistical data about the apps and the websites that your child uses back to Apple so they can do their analytics. If you don't want to send Apple that data, you can turn this off. And with that, we have come to the end. That was a lot to cover, but hopefully you leave here today with a better understanding on where to go and how to configure all the different parental controls available to you. And hopefully you leave here feeling good that you've done everything you can to keep your child safe and secure on their phone. That's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
You know how you're always doing stuff not really fun? Well, check out my website. It's really fun.